Hey everyone, this is Patrick here with A Tale of Two Gardens, back in the home garden today, where we'll be starting some more seeds. So we are about 8 weeks out from our last frost date. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And we'll be planting in some seeds into the greenhouse today. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have 3 different sets that we'll be doing today. We'll be doing 1 container of tomatoes, and then 2 containers of flowers, and there'll be a mixture of them. Now, all of the seeds that we're doing all need 8 weeks in a greenhouse that they don't have to worry about frost. Basically, everyone in gardening knows what their hardiness zone is. If you deal with a frost, if you have a winter, then you have a frost date. Normally, there's a first frost and a last frost. So our first frosts traditionally are in middle of October. That's when we begin to get frost at some point. And our last frost is normally the beginning of May for us. I'm in zone 6. I've recently got moved into that, so this is kind of new for us. Normally, I would wait for tomatoes. It would be 8 weeks from later May. But right now, we're about Mother's Day in America. So we're doing 8 weeks out. So this is our 8-week start. We'll be doing some Snapdragons. So I have 2 different kinds, extremely small, and these have a different kind of planting depth. All of the seeds I have today have different planting depths. This one specifically needs it just on the surface, and I'm to water from below, because if I watered from the top, I could potentially move the seeds to the edges. Instead, it's supposed to be kind of almost like a field style scatter. Now, tomatoes I go down about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, somewhere in there. So I make just a normal hole for them. And we'll be doing 2 different normal sized tomatoes. We have a Hungarian heart and a brown sugar, which is more of like a plum size. And then finally, I have 3 different kinds of flowers. 2 of them are vines, and another one's the foxgloves. Now, foxgloves are something we'll be planting this year with the recognition that we won't see any kind of special bloom or anything from them this year. They are what they call a biannual. You plant them this year, they'll grow, plant leaves, stem, etc. However, it'll never bloom. It'll naturally die back over winter, and then next year, it'll then start from that same plant and then produce a flower spike. Then it'll naturally die back, and it won't do that again. So what lots of gardeners do is they'll start off 1 year with what I'm doing now, is spreading the seed and starting to plant. Then they'll use that as a starter for next year, and they'll do 2 years in a row of a certain kind. And then they'll have flower spikes that they'll then scatter, and they'll naturally scatter on their own. Of course, I'm also doing Moonflower and Corkscrew vine. Both of those need a little bit of depth, but they also need some scratches on there because they have a coat on the seed itself. So you have to either soak them for a couple hours, or you need to scratch them to make sure that there is some kind of seed coat that's been broken, so that you can actually help the germination go around. I also want to give you a little bit of updates. So it's been about a week and some since we did our first set of seeds. So I wanted to go ahead and show you those. And again, we started our leeks last week, and that's what they look like now. So if you'll notice, they just kind of go up like blades of grass, but the seed is actually on the tip. So if you look in there, you'll see a little bit of a black tip. That's how you know it's the leek. Of course, we also started some peppers. So far, these ones, the bell peppers, haven't germinated yet, but they can take up to 2 weeks. So we might still have a couple more days before they might start. Now these are hot peppers. I did put them on the heat pad. They worked out okay. So we actually were able to get those going. And then finally, I have for you a depiction of some of our daffodils that I found later on today. Now, these ones are dwarf daffodils, so they're not as big and as tall as the ones I showed you the other day. But they were just in a lovely bloom today. I wanted to share them with you. Otherwise, that's all I have for our garden projects for today. I'll be back again tomorrow, where we'll be going into the community garden and finishing up those the mulch around the perimeter of the garden, and we'll be finishing that out, which will be great to see. So otherwise, if I don't see you tomorrow, feel free to like, follow, share if you would like to follow along in the playlist for both Community Garden or the Home Garden for Tale of Two Gardens. But otherwise, happy gardening.